their parents still believe in those same things, and those same and the same ideologies of Asians, if you will. And so I think that that's why.
Yeah.
I think that's right. But I want to go back to you, to Tierra, because you talk a lot about your daughter's experience. So do you think that Black parents face additional challenges in addressing bullying compared to other groups?
I do. I think, and also when things happen to Black children, I don't think that the administrators or the school district is quick to jump and defend. Now, I mean, I can't say this for certain, but I do believe that the way they responded to my daughter was very much like in a very relaxed way. And so with Kalia's mom, I could totally understand. It's like I was calling, we were up there, all of that, and still it was like, well, we'll talk to the other student and the parents, and we'll give them both detention. And even that was like, both of the students will have detention. Well, wait a minute, my child was part of the, she's the victim here. But yeah, but we want to just, they both were involved and blah blah blah. It just didn't make sense. So I just think the way that they treat our children is really unfair.
I agree. Athena, you're our wealth person, and we discussed a little bit about how the whole dynamics have changed for this family. Now the mother is staying home taking care of her child. She has two other children that she's also raising. So how does long-term medical care costs affect families when a child experiences these type of things, trauma and bullying, or in this case, where they now have to take care of her?
I'm glad you asked that. So, especially when you're doing family planning and looking at what things even cost nowadays, for you to now have to leave work, leave a place of employment to full-time care for a child, because of the state that her child is now into, where she does not even have motor control function of her own body. That is an income that she is foregoing that could help supplement the family that she now has to take on. The increased medical expenses, right? I don't know what kind of health insurance they do have, right? But I can only imagine having what those costs should now be. So this family is definitely in the right to sue for these things, just to even cover the full-time care of her daughter. And I'm not even talking from even an education perspective anymore. I don't know if she's in school or in some kind of program. Now you have to homeschool your kid full time. So in situations like this, when the bullying is ramping up, I'm actually happy that Tierra, you actually took the foresight to be like, okay, let me remove Lauren from school, homeschool her. But even for that, right, it's additional expenses that you're not being compensated for, that your tax dollars that you are still paying to fund these public schools, you are not receiving your portion of that to help in your daughter's care. So I think one thing we can do to keep these schools accountable is set up a system or a law that if your child has to either now be homeschooled due to bullying or be at home from bullying, that there needs to be some of that money go towards what you now have to do that the school has failed to do.
Go ahead. Can't hear you.
I'm sorry. I know that there is an option for that. You can apply for a grant, but because of the way we pulled Lauren out, it was so, I know her father and I were talking about it, but literally we pulled the trigger on it maybe 2 weeks before it was time for her to go back to school. And I said, you know what? I think we're done. And, of course, Lauren had her issue with it, but there are programs. When I start to look around, there are programs that you can apply for that will compensate you for, at least to get the difference. I don't have that yet because I ain't sat down, because there's a whole process to that, but it is an option.
I'm glad to hear that, because that's quite frightening.